Hey guys, what's up? It's Travis and John here. This is our first video episode of Elbows Type Podcast. Hope you guys enjoy it. We had our great friend, instructor from Japan, Allan Hernandez. It was a fantastic episode.
Yeah, it's a pretty long one. We had a good time catching up with it.
Yeah, you can look at me when you're talking.
I can't now. You told me to look at the camera.
I can only look at the camera now. So we're getting used to having the camera and everything like that because we plan on you'll hear in the episode we plan on having live streaming of the episodes and everything like that, like we've been talking about. But this is our first attempt at doing a video episode as well. So please bear with us. We had to kind of stop about 15 minutes into it because we were having some audio issues that you guys will probably hear once it goes away. You'll notice it. But other than that, it was a great episode, man.
It's a great one. I think everyone
What
will like it.
What was some of the stuff we touched, John?
Well, we touched on everything from like white belt struggles even to like the higher level belt struggles and some of the things they'll go through, maybe some thoughts they'll have, you know, the ups and the downs. It's just the whole journey of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, Allan recently was promoted to black belt under Malachy Friedman, and he's coming on the show also too. But it was a fantastic episode, full of laughs. We used Facebook Messenger, which I didn't really enjoy too much because there was no, if we were talking, his audio would cut out. And you'll notice that in the video. He'll be talking, but...
yeah, he'll have a couple in and out moments. And
yeah.
I even picked up it's when we were talking, if he was talking, it almost overrode it.
Yeah, so we'll have to... I think Zoom is going to be the best way to go with that. But this is that episode. And then, as you could tell, this is our beverage of the day.
Yeah, these were the beverages of the day.
All of these. What we got for the beverage of the day,
Man,
John?
we got St. Archer. Is it Archer? St. Archer, Blondale Brewing Company. It was pretty good. Not an IPA, more just a blonde ale. It went down really smooth. You gotta say, we finished them, so they were good.
Yeah, what's the alcohol percentage, John?
I don't know. That's what I was looking
4.8? That's it?
Yeah.
Bro,
I honestly thought they were non-alcoholic the whole time I was drinking them.
Yeah, they snuck up on me.
Until you started saying weird words that didn't make sense. Then I was like, oh, no, they must be legit.
This is what I got to do.
You guys won't know until you listen to the podcast, though.
Yeah. There's a lot of funny parts that I'm glad we were video recording because we wouldn't have caught them if it wasn't that. John and I also take a couple bathroom breaks in the middle of it because it's a long episode, but it's a good one. But yeah, what were some of the tones in this one? It was really smooth.
Smooth.
Yeah.
No hoppy taste.
A little bit.
Yeah, no hop.
No hop at all. Yeah. 4.8, so it goes down real smooth. It sneaks up on you, especially when you drink 3 of them on an empty stomach. So
yeah, we're hungry. We're going to get something to eat.
Yeah, now we're going to go eat. So you guys enjoy this episode of Elbows Type Podcast. Appreciate you watching. And yeah, we'll talk to you later. Thanks, guys. Later. Welcome, everyone, to another episode of Elbows Type Podcast. It's your host, Travis and John. John, how you doing today?
I'm doing pretty good, man. How you doing?
Not bad. This is our first video that we're doing with our good friend, Allan, over here, as you guys can see. But before we get into all that, we have a good friend of ours, like we said, Allan. He's made a huge impact on us, but he has a beverage of the day as the guest. Allan, what you got over there, man?
All right, gentlemen. So today I'm drinking a Westbrook White Tie. So it's picked this up when I was living in Charleston, when I was stationed out there in Charleston, South Carolina, and they're kind of like Asheville. They have like their like little like hipster type areas going on. Those pizza restaurants. They have all these craft beers and whatnot, and they have a lot of the locals. So it's like a local Mount Pleasant / Charleston, South Carolina. It's a wheat ale because like 160 pounds and trying to like drink like a stout or something. I'm like tapped out after.
Wheat ales are normally pretty heavy though. They're like normally unfiltered, so they got a little bit to them.
Yeah, a little bit. It's only 5%. Like I just don't feel like I'm drinking like melted chocolate.
Yeah. I'm a big stout and porter drinker too sometimes, and I kind of went to the same with IPAs on. I enjoy them, but it's like a dinner. You know, if I get too heavy of an IPA, it's like, I'm full.
Yeah. My buddy just took me over to this brewery a week and a half ago, 2 weeks ago. It's like these dudes converted like half of their house into a brewery, got it like sanctioned through the city and whatnot. And he's like, yeah, you should check out these stouts. And they come in like the little half cans. I was like, all right, yeah, like I'm used to like Guinness being like a tall boy, and I'm just like, I feel sick because it's too much. And like I had about half of the half done, man. Like it's like a 6-inch Subway sub.
Wow,
that's a good way to put it.
Have to try that out.
Yeah. So, Allan, now that we got your beverage of the day out of the way, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, man? Where you from? How you started jiu-jitsu? Favorite color? All that fun stuff.
All right, man. So, Allan, obviously I'm from a place called Stafford County, Virginia. So Virginia's kind of split up. When people think of Virginia, they're just like, you're either in like podunk type Redneckville, or you're in Virginia Beach, or you're in DC. So like Virginia's kind of like separated like that. So I'm from the DC, Northern Virginia area. Originally from Virginia Beach. Came from a Navy family. So lived there. We lived in Virginia Beach. My dad retired from the Navy and then moved us up to the DC area. I ended up getting started in jiu-jitsu. I was doing karate. I was like 17 years old, and hilariously enough, it was the Chuck Norris system, Chung Kuk Do. I wish I could make all of this shit up. And, like, so I'm sure you guys already know. So Chuck Norris is a huge Brazilian jiu-jitsu guy.
Yes, he's black belt.
Yeah, black belt in jiu-jitsu, and he ended up, his system, Chung Kuk Do, is the universal way in Korean. Anyways, so part of like the program was you do like a little bit of like grappling. When I say little bit, very, very little bit. It was like we pull out 2 of those like high school blue mats, and like the one dude that knows an armbar just beats everybody up. And
that's too funny.
Like, that's grappling, and then you're done. Like, so I remember this like tiny little Filipino dude just beat me up. He armbarred me, and then like that was it. 1 armbar and grappling complete. So I ended up. I just love the grappling aspect of everything. I used to like wrestle in the front yard, like with all the neighborhood kids and stuff. Just one of those things. So I get stationed in Japan, and I was just big into like lifting weights and stuff. And I go into the locker room, and I look over, and I see Rich Franklin weighing himself on a scale in the locker room. And then Joe Daddy Stevenson like walks by, and they're comparing their weight and laughing. And I was like, what is happening right now? And I was like, hey, are you guys like from the UFC? And they're like laughing. They're like, yeah, man. There's like a 5-bar. I don't know if you remember the Fleet wreck while you guys were over in Yoko.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the 5th floor used to be a pure wrestling room. So like when the Hawk's Nest it used to be the entire 5th floor of Fleet Wreck.
Wow.
And they're like, yeah, we're doing a seminar. If you just want to come up, it's free. And we went up there. They like showed us a couple moves. And then Joe Daddy Stevenson was just like, anybody that wants to get it gets 2 minutes. So there was like a line of like 45 dudes. And like, all we do is lift weights and stuff. And I was like number 12. He just knee barred me real quick. He's like, yeah, come on, next. I just sat there watching as like he just took all these dudes, balled them up. All 45 dudes, back to back to back to back. No break, no nothing. Rich Franklin's over here trying to coach against him. But of course, everybody's a white belt. So it's like headlock time. And that was it, man. And I was just like, I don't know what just happened, but I need to learn this. Started like doing like YouTube videos and stuff, and then like wrestling with the guys on the ship. Leave Japan, go to Virginia Beach, or I get stationed in Virginia Beach, and I find this MMA gym that during the day it's a children's ballet studio / gymnastics studio, and then at night they roll out 4 Dolliver mats, and met this 135-pound purple belt named Jose Villarisco, and I was just like, all right, cool. This dude's smaller than me. Let me try this out. You know, Joe Daddy was kind of big, and he beat me so badly. He just beat me like he hated me. I was like, bam, this is it right here. And that was like my entire life. That was like my real introduction was with a 135-pound purple belt. Yes. Like, he beat me so bad that I showed up for maybe a month, and then I quit for like 3 because like I just couldn't take the beating anymore.
Wow.
Yeah, man.
And then you were addicted ever since.
Yeah, yeah. Like, and then like I got real heavy into like MMA style grappling, trying to like go bash heads in, and then Muay Thai. But like there was like always something looming in the back of my mind. I was like, man, you know, that was really fun. And so I ended up strapping the gi back on one more time. I was like, if I don't like it, I'm done. And that was it. That was it. I started competing at white belt, and I won like a match or two. And I was just like, oh, all right. There's something to this. There's something to this.
So how long were you a white belt then?
Man, believe it or not, white belt was my longest belt, which is shameful.
Really?
Dude, yeah. So it's kind of funny how that works, right? One belt that you don't want to spend any time at. I was a white belt for 2.5, almost 3 years.
Wow.
Yeah. I wasn't even that bad, to be honest. Like it was just like I was training under a purple belt. So he really couldn't promote anybody. He would bring down like a black belt from Camp Springs, Maryland. So my original team was like a Lloyd Irvin team. So he'd bring down this awesome black belt, fantastic dude, Danny, and he would come down and promote people. But like he was really only promoting the studs to blue belt. So my entire initial idea of jiu-jitsu was like, holy crap, you got to be like insane to get a blue belt. So my entire idea of a blue belt was like these dudes are like absolute savages and damn near unbeatable except by like rounds and stuff. Oh yeah, and ended up going to shore duty in Charleston, South Carolina. Roll up into this MMA gym. I'm the 2.5 year white belt at the time, and like I got to train my very first black belt. So I've never trained with Danny, the black belt. I only saw him when he was doing promotions. But I got to train with my first black belt. And I was just like, oh my God, this is terrifying. It was like the most terrifying experience I've ever had. Because like the purple belt beatings were something, but then the black belt beating happened. And I was just like, oh, I have to learn more. And just like, I would sit there and watch him, and he would just like club smush all the purple belts and the brown belts like they were nothing. And I was just like, oh. Yeah. And then eventually I got my blue belt from him. And that was 3-year mark.
What gym was this under?
Back in the day it was Charleston MMA.
Okay.
They ended up selling in some I'm not trying to badmouth the dude, but he really has no business in the combat sports world.
Yeah.
He's more into like I don't know, whatever the cardio kickboxing equivalent of jiu-jitsu.
Yeah, like the Taibo workouts.
Yeah, doing stuff like that. He did like some like mini series on himself. He's like, I'm gonna show you what 30 days of whatever air kicking program I'm doing does to your body. And like, I don't think a single dude on the planet asked him for this series.
That's so funny.
So he took it upon himself to do his own little series about himself. And he bought the gym out, and we were cool with it. I was like, hey man, I don't really care what the gym's called. That's not a big deal. But then like he started like instituting his like own rules. Just like nobody's allowed to spar until like they're 6 months in. So like you join a gym to learn how to defend yourself and fight. But we're not going to let you defend yourself and fight against a real human being for 6 months. So immediately that was like throwing up red flags for all of us. He's seeing it from this like soft ass approach of like, you got to like treat new members Like, no, you gotta weed these motherfuckers out, dude.
Yeah.
Like this, like jiu-jitsu's for everybody. Maybe at first, and then like maybe a year after, there's already like 50% of those dudes are already gone.
You know, that's not the first time I've heard that, though. Remember, we've heard from a couple of our friends that a lot of places don't allow white belts to roll.
Yeah, like
to roll
Gracie,
afterwards.
Yeah, like a traditional Gracie gym, they don't roll until they're like a 4-stripe white belt.
We were worried about that when we went to Japan because I was like, man, we're used to it. We've been doing it for like a year now. What are we going to do if we can't actually roll?
The thought of it, just the thought of that, doing that to somebody, man, I'm like, welcome to day one. We're all the Madden forces out here right now. We got to break some habits on you.
That's funny.
And right in lines, then you go. So that was like the big issue. Big issue for me was the white belt thing. Because then, like, I was like, well, what else are you gonna try to implement? And then the black belt that we all trained under, Casey, he was just like, hey, I'm out of here. Good luck to everybody. And then, luckily, as soon as the unnamed dude kind of ruined our gym for us, Malachy Friedman opened up American Top Team, and I'm talking like within like a week and a half.
Oh wow!
Of this like insane gym split of like the OGs of Charleston. A week and a half later was the grand opening for American Top Team, and I remember getting a Facebook friend request from Malachy before I ever even met him. I just saw a dude in a gi. I was like, bro, what? I don't know the fucking what. Like, why are you doing this? Well, he was promoting his brand, and he was walking the streets of Charleston with like little flyers, like handing them out, like to anybody and everybody. Hey, I'm opening up a gym. We do MMA, self-defense, jiu-jitsu, boxing, wrestling, and just dude was grinding so hard.
Yeah.
And as soon as we hit that gym split, like I hit him up. I was like, hey man, I don't know you, but you hit me up, and I got about 30 or 40 dudes right now that don't have a home, and I'm trying to come up in there. And he was just like, bring them all. That's how like American Top Team, Low Country, kind of started its roots.
And what year was this around?
That was like 15. Yeah, nope. 2015.
What belt were you at the time?
I was a blue belt, man. I was a blue belt. I was a mean blue belt too. That was competition days right there, man. I was training 3.5, 4 hours a day, 5-7 days a week, just getting it. Yeah.
So you were a blue belt when Old Country or Low Country Jiu-Jitsu started. What was it like when you first stepped into? I guess would you say that's like a legitimate jiu-jitsu gym? Was your first legitimate jiu-jitsu MMA gym, or?
Charleston MMA was definitely like the first one that I was just like, this is like some insane jiu-jitsu going on in this room. Man, so Casey, the dude who gave me my blue belt, he's like one of jiu-jitsu's best kept secrets. We would have like seminars and shit, and then of course at the end of the seminar you got to roll with the dude. And he's over tapping the dudes out that are giving the seminar. Like, look, man, you can't be doing that to these dudes. Got their money, it is what it is, but he's over here following them up. And so that was like my first real taste of jiu-jitsu, but like my first like full-blown immersion into jiu-jitsu is absolutely what used to be American Top Team Low Country is now Black Label Arts. Yeah, we were all competitors at the time. Every single dude in the room competing. I think a lot of it was like peer pressure. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it was just a lion's den, man. We would get at Charleston MMA, we would get these like brown belts and black belts come in, and then like the blue belts and purple belts would be tuning them up, just sending them home, feeling bad about themselves. So we showed up to ATT, and Malachy had his little notebook and stuff. He was like, all right, so here's what we're looking at. And then of course he has to like just to figure out where everybody's skill level was. I remember the story. So Malachy was telling me about this probably like a year or so after he opened. He was like, man, I remember when we opened up, I had this like all these lesson plans in the curriculum. You guys came in and I checked everybody's like, state, where's your baseline at? And he's like, and I threw the notebook away. He was just like, we don't need to focus on this. And, yeah, that was like kind of like the real birth of ATT out there in South Carolina. We just started getting it in like hard.
That's cool, man. Are you going to compete now? Are you still going to compete black belt?
Congratulations, by the way. I don't think we said it, but you recently just got your black belt. Congratulations, man. That's...
Got it like 8 days ago.
Yeah.
It was like the day I've been dreading.
So now you don't need to learn anything. You are an expert.
Bro, yeah, I know, right?
Now the learning really starts.
Yeah, man. Jiu-Jitsu's funny like that, right? You remember being white belts and just being like, God, I just don't want to wear this white belt anymore.
Yeah.
And then you get your blue belt, and now you're faced with the do I quit now, or or should I keep going? Like I've already invested this much time and effort and money into it. I might as well keep going. I got a purple belt, and I was so happy at purple belt, man. I was so happy at purple belt. I never wanted my brown belt. Like to a point when I left South Carolina, got promoted up through the Navy. They sent me to San Diego. I joined Chula Vista, and I remember telling the owners, I was like, hey, I'm trying to do like 5 years as a purple belt, right? Before any of this goes down. They're like, oh, okay. And I get there, and they're like, nah, that ain't going to work. And they tricked me, so I got invited to what I thought was, they used to have these like, I don't know if they still do them, over at the headquarters, black belt, brown belt classes where they just all the brown belts and black belts just go in there and it's just them and like they can just kill each other and trade secrets and laugh and do all this stuff about like having to like lay like a dead fish and let the white belt just stomp your legs up and
what?
Yeah, we'll go in that in a second. So I thought I was just being invited to it just because like I roll hard. I was okay. And the dude comes out and he just announces to everybody. He's like, "Hey, tonight we got a promotion." So they like start a clock, and like for like 45 minutes or an hour, I got to just roll back to back to back to back to back with all these like black belts and brown belts just getting smashed up. Then I have 3 rounds where they grab these MMA fighters, and these dudes put on gloves. And you're not allowed to hit back. You have to use all jiu-jitsu to take them down and submit them.
Imagine that. That's how our blue belt test was.
There you go. Yeah, so you guys know. Yeah. So, like, I got my brown belt, and I was like, fuck. I was not trying to get that this time. And I only got like 2 years as a purple belt.
Jeez.
Now, I didn't get any time at purple. I mean, I had enough time to compete like 2 or 3 times at purple, and then boom, I was already a brown belt. I was like, fuck, dude. Then I ended up getting sent over to Japan for 2 years. And are you guys down for this entire Japan story? Is this
yeah. We like Japan is probably one of our like we debate going back to work in Japan just so we can go train in the Hawk's Nest.
Yeah.
Let me tell you the origin story of what the fuck you guys walked into. You guys got there, like, when everything was good to go. Like, you guys got there, you had some dudes to train with, you don't have to pay a fucking dime. So, I get there, and at the time, it was Koji Imanari. So, Masakazu's brother.
Yep, the Imanari role.
The Imanari role. So, his brother was teaching classes there. Phenomenal dude. Incredible black belt. Doesn't speak English. So he's having other students translate while he's teaching, but it's just like his students don't understand what he's teaching. So I'm looking at him trying to explain like grips and stuff like this, and then the only thing that comes out of the dude's mouth is like, yeah, you just pull it on here. And I was like, ooh. that ain't gonna work for me. Started rolling with some of these dudes, and I'm like, it's not very passable. Like for what's wrapping around your waist right now, you probably should be a little bit higher than what you are. So I was like, no big deal. Koji didn't charge me as a brown belt. He let me come in there and roll, and have fun, and he would snap my ankles in half and teach me all these leg locks and stuff. And then Jerry, I don't know if you guys ever met Jerry.
Yeah. We'll leave it at that.
That giant fucking piece of shit. That dude.
I wasn't going to say it.
Yeah, I mean, this goes all over the world, but...
Yeah. That dude, man, he is the biggest piece of shit I've ever met in jiu-jitsu. And I've met a lot. He shows up, and he's kind of like taking the off days, right? Like, so Koji was only teaching like 2 days a week or something. So that's how like the competition class started. Trey asked Koji, hey, is it okay if I use the mat spaces over here on the off days for training so guys can roll more than like twice a week? Yeah, sure. So Trey was having those like little free classes on the side before I even showed up to Japan. So then Jerry kind of like fills in this void, the 3-day void per week. And he ends up like sniping a whole bunch of students out from Koji to a point where Koji was just like, well, this is unsustainable. I'm just going to pack my bag and go. So Jerry sees this opportunity. It's like, all right, tight. Now I'm going to fucking snake out the other 2 days at Koji. And now I own all 5 or 6 days. He even owned like part of Saturday, which is open mat. I'm going to own these days and just create this like little monopoly going on. So I showed up when Jerry first got there to open mat, and it was a huge open mat. All the students were there, and I thought we were going to have this like brown belt, black belt respect towards each other. Like first round, you kind of figure each other out, kind of have fun. There's like no malintent in it. And like, you know, I sit down, I'm a takedown guy, and I sit down. I was like, cool, let's have fun. This dude, it was the finals of the worlds. Like,
intense.
Blows through my guard, put his like 250 pounds of garbage on me, and just tries to like smash me up. And all the students are just, it's like Cobra fucking high. You see like Johnny Lawrence. Johnny Lawrence is over there like, yes, man. Over here sweeping the leg. And so I was like, oh, he's gonna do me dirty in front of everybody. So I ended up, I got out, and then I just turned it up, man. I just choked him across his jaw. I just kept choking him in his jaw and like smashing his nose up a lot for like the next 5 minutes. After that, dude wanted nothing to do with me. He's like, don't come train with me. Don't talk to my students and stuff. And I was just like, damn, dude, it was like that. I was like, you know, I don't know if you guys like Rambo, but you drew first blood.
Yeah.
I didn't do that.
He was the one that was making it difficult for us to train, right?
Yeah, he was
taking the space, and like it was ridiculous. They weren't even using it.
Yeah, when you were out to sea, dude, it was a nightmare for Trey and Madison, because we would show up and they're like, "Hey guys, we're gonna have to wait an extra 30 minutes because
we can't train because he reserved all the mats tonight."
Yeah.
Yep. So he would, and then that's how like it started going, and he would only own his mat. And
then he got multiple mats. He had one for like a beginner white belt class, and then he had his for his normal class. And I was like, and Trey was like, we just got to wait an extra 30 minutes to 45 minutes for them to get off this mat and go to their normal class. I was like, whatever, man. I mean,
yeah, dude. And he would like tell people, he's like, you guys can train with a fucking brown belt if you want. Well, I'm a black belt, and that's why I charge. That's why I charge you guys, because I'm a black belt. He's only a brown belt, and that's why his classes are free. But you know, what does a white belt know? Black is higher than brown.
Yeah.
Right? Like, there's no distinction to him.
Well, I was wearing my white belt when they came and talked to me, because we'd get off work, and I didn't want to go all the way back to my hotel and then back to the Hawk's Nest. So I just remember sit outside the gate and I'd listen to headphones and music while I'd wait. And they were like, hey, you want to get in this class? I'm like, no, I'm waiting for the black label. And they were like, oh, well, we have the black belt here teaching this one. I was like, no, I'm good.
It's real out there. It's real out there. If you're uninitiated, you have no idea.
Yep.
Like, dude, at purple belt, I tell like the purple belts all the time. I'm like, man, at purple belt, the waters become muddy. Like, you're either just a random dude that's a purple belt that you're like, wow, that dude's a purple belt, and then there's just like some 22-year-old art of jiu-jitsu kid who just balls me up in a corner, and I'm just crying for 6 minutes straight. I mean, I can't stop his assault. So, but they don't understand that. I'm a white belt. At white belt, each belt should be able to beat each belt, and that's all they know.
Yeah, and I definitely think even when we were first starting off in jiu-jitsu, very luckily we had one of our best friends. He's only a purple belt. He's like I think Cody's like a 3-4 stripe purple belt now, but he's a former amateur MMA fighter, undefeated, and he's the type of guy that just like everything he puts his mind to, he does a fantastic job, and he's amazing at it. Right? He competed in CrossFit at a very high level. He was actually on our third or fourth episode of the podcast. But he is only a purple belt, like I said, and he ran our school for the first couple months, and I actually am happy he's only a purple belt because he doesn't have leg locks, he doesn't have knee bars, he doesn't have a lot of the fancy berimbolo and all that stuff. So our first, like when we got to Japan, our first 6-7 months of jiu-jitsu were basics. It was 100%. This is a very simple technique. Here's a Kimura. Now we're going to spend an hour on just doing Kimuras and different positions to lock them in. We're going to do Americanas for an hour. You know what I mean? Like each class was basically focused on one thing. And so luckily, because Cody's a purple belt, we saw the high level of instruction from a brand new purple belt. And we're like, well, I mean, a black belt's great. Don't get me wrong. But it doesn't. But I've been a coach since like 2014. And I know just because you've been coaching forever, that doesn't mean you're a good coach. You could be a world champ black belt. It does not mean you know how to coach at a world-class level. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
So when we got to Japan, I was like, it'd be cool to, train under a black belt. Because at the time, we didn't have Allan or Al. And so I was like, but this is free. Let's see how this goes. This looks like a good class. And we were.
Well, we had Allan, but he had just got there like a month or two.
Yeah, he was still a brown belt too, though.
Yeah.
Al showed up to our school still a brown belt. And I remember the first class he taught. I think it was the first class he was in. The very first thing he taught was how to get a better grip. Ratcheting like a monkey wrench or like a ratchet on gripping someone, right? So you grip it, put it in your fingers, and then you twist the wrist in,
taking
right?
the space.
And you take the space up. And it was like,
Those are the good moments, man.
Yeah, so when we got to Japan and we saw Trey, I was like, well, Cody's a purple belt. Trey's a purple belt. I don't really see a distinction. Yeah. I mean, let's see how it goes. And Trey was phenomenal. I mean, I couldn't have asked for a better instructor when we were in Japan. And then you showed up after coming back from sea, and I was like, what are these people?
I liked everyone. Blaine, too. Blaine was great.
I mean, I'm sure you got to roll with Blaine a lot, but Blaine was like...
crushing. He was great.
Yeah, his pressure game was just incredible.
Well, Blaine had a small guy's game and a giant's body. it was like, I love rolling with Blaine, man. That dude was so good.
Yeah.
So good.
Yeah, and his instruction was really good, too. I like it because even though Blaine taught different things than Trey and you, the concepts were the same. John and I talk about this. We were just talking about it the other day, right? How some classes we've been to, it's been, here's 14 different moves in 30 seconds and a 16-stage setup.
And I'm zoned out real quick.
I'm like, I'm tapping like to the technique. I'm like, I don't even know what's going on here, And then when we got to Japan, it was a series. It was a week-long series of let's go to guard. and then we're gonna go say omoplata, and then from omoplata, how do we get a sweep from omoplata if it fails? You know what I mean? It was like nuggets throughout the week, and then I thought it was amazing. You know what I mean? So
yeah, man. Trey's phenomenal. I trained with Trey back in Charleston. Like the way we both ended up in Japan just was kind of crazy. So Trey was like one of the most important people of like that whole Black Label and that we had going prior to the pandemic and all this stuff. Like that dude laid the foundation, and I feel so bad that he conceded the instructor role when I showed up. And I even told him, I was like, look, man, I will sit in your class quietly like a blue belt. Like, you don't have to worry about it. And the big thing he was worried about, he was like, look, man, they're going to see a brown belt, and they're probably going to want the brown belt teaching instead of the purple belt. Because it's that the white belt thing, brown belt's higher than purple. So
that's crazy, because to me, I was like, even a blue belt, I was like, man, that blue belt could teach me because he knows what's up. Like, I always felt like whoever, like, the knowledge is there, I'll learn it. I don't care who teaches it.
Dude, I'm telling you. Yeah, and you can even find I find useful lessons in the shit that white belts fuck up all day.
Right.
Just like I'll start grabbing random grips out of nowhere and just seeing what they do and how they move. I'm like, all right, so if my entire purpose right now is I'm gonna put them in single leg X, sweep them over, and instead of ankle locking them, I'm just gonna come on up. And what I do is I start changing my grip up and down the leg and seeing if I can still sweep them from each part of their leg. So I got stuck in this rut at blue belt where you guys rolled me, so I'm very methodical. I don't have a lot of athleticism, especially in my mid-30s now. But so I'm very technical, and I have to have technique over strength, and I'll use a little bit of strength here and there, but Malachy used to fuck me up all the time, and he goes, you got to stop doing that, man. You got to stop only wanting, I have to have this. I refuse to settle. And Malachy coins it. He goes, you need to use junk Jitsu. And I was like, I don't know what you're talking about because I know you made that up right now while we're talking. And he was just like, listen, man, if it works, it's jujitsu. So when you go to mount the gigantic white belt and he sticks his arm into your armpit and throws you off and you're a blue belt, are you telling me that didn't work? Are you telling me
that's a good point?
So you're telling me just an extended arm's a broken arm? I got it. It's in there. But you're telling me that white belt just threw my brown belt at the time's ass across the fucking room. That sounds pretty legit to me.
He definitely created some distance.
Yeah.
And that's the thing. It's he created distance. Am I going to be able to throw off a dude? No, I'm not. But I just learned something about distance management at least.
Yeah.
And I learned that it's not a do or die situation. Now I know that if my arm's extended, I'm not the arm bar fairy's not gonna be like, gotcha, and then snatch you up, right?
Yeah.
You still got time. You're still alive. So yeah, you learn a lot from the wrong things in the jump jitsu of it all.
Yeah. It's funny you mentioned us rolling because I remember I think it was the second time I rolled after you came back from being out to sea. Allan got me in an armbar the first time, and I remember because you're like, oh, I was waiting to see if you were going to hitchhike her out. And at the time, I was like, oh, yeah. I was trying to. At the time, I didn't know how to hitchhike her. You know what I mean? And so I was like, well, I better learn that now, right? And then when you came back, you did. It's funny, dude. It was like a play-by-play of the same exact thing happened the second roll, but the second time, Trey had taught us to hitchhike her. And so I hitchhiked out, and Allan was like, yeah, that's good. But what's funny is I was laying on my back, and this is how I know Allan wasn't a guy to mess with, right? Because he had both feet on the ground and we were chest to chest, and he was like staring at me with like death eyes. Yeah, it was like you were like staring at me like, "What you gonna do?" And I was like, "I don't even know what I'm gonna do." I just couldn't. It was crazy because your feet were flat on the ground and we were chest to chest, and I was laying on my back, and I was like, "This man is flexible." I was like
I'm gonna breathe. That's what I'm gonna do.
I was like, I'm gonna let you do whatever you want, Allan. I don't even know what to do from here. But yeah, that was the second time we rolled. It was a lot of fun. I like rolling. I'm sure, just like you. Well, now you're black, so there's not really higher, but I'm sure you like rolling with way more experienced people than yourself as well. But I love rolling with, even like you said, you learn something from even people that are below you. But rolling with a well-rounded black belt or blue or purple, brown, whatever, it doesn't matter. I really enjoy it because I'm like, man, I'm getting my butt kicked right now. I need to figure out how the hell not to do this again, you know?
So,
dude, sorry.
No, I was interested when you said that junk jitsu. Like, I've been going to this Krav Maga gym up the street, and it's interesting because they teach a little jiu-jitsu in their MMA classes. And, you know, I've all the stuff I've learned so far, it's always been like position before submission, right? But when you watch them do it, it's submission anytime you can get it. And it's interesting because, but I'm watching them and I'm like, well, I mean, I guess that would work, right? Like if the other person doesn't know any jiu-jitsu and it's like a real life situation, they get it from anywhere. So it was funny the first time I got there, they were like, hey, can you get in this neutral side control? And I was like, I've never heard the term neutral side control. So I was trying to like, well, what does that mean? Do they just want me inside and then it was like, some weird,
like face to face.
Yeah, I was like, I didn't know what it was, so I felt stupid as hell. I'm like, what is a neutral one? I'm like racking my head, but then they showed me what that was for them, and I was like, oh, all right, I got you. But anyway, it's just interesting because you say that, and I was like, man, I wonder if some of that works because I am sometimes in a role where I'm not really in the right position, but I know I could get the submission from there, so it's just interesting. So if you get it from there, then is it just junk jitsu?
Yeah, absolutely. Like Malachy has like all sorts of like random guards that he makes up. There was one called Dirty X that he used.
I'm gonna ask him about that.
It's incredible. So it's like I'm awful with jiu-jitsu names. Everybody's just like, hey Allan, can you teach me the Bushido flip arm lock? And I'm like, I don't know what the fuck's going on right now.
You sound a lot like me. When people ask me stuff, I'm like, please don't ever ask me to teach or show anything. Like, I can't. Just don't ask me.
And then they'll show me like what they're talking about. I'm like, oh yeah, I know that. Yeah, no problem. Yeah, let me show you that. But like, dude, people get caught up on names, and I think it's that we're the YouTube generation, right?
Yeah.
So we have this like plethora of knowledge that we have to choose from. So, Malachy has this Dirty X. So like when people are like passing your De La Hiva, and they stuck that leg in the middle for the headquarters, as they call it, I guess. You just turn to your side and underhook the leg, and it turns into like this like modified X guard, and it's awesome. It's absolutely awesome. But I remember just being like, ew, like I play X guard. How dare you put that in my face? And then turns out I love it, man. It's just, like it doesn't look very good, but then like if you ever get the desire to watch like the highest levels of jiu-jitsu, they're not really doing a lot of like clear cut beautiful jiu-jitsu, man. It is like a lot of just exploding and just like conceptual understanding of things. It's not like this is the single leg X sweep exactly how it's been taught since it became what it is. Like, no, they're actually just like almost there. Like it's an 85% sweep.
Yeah.
And then the other 15% is I'm just gonna blow this dude's leg apart because I'm strong. And it's like, oh, we got sweat.
Right.
So,
I mean, it worked.
Yeah, it worked. And dude, so I've been training over at this gym. I've only gotten one day out of this gym so far down here. But I knew something was up. I knew something was up when this like 23, 24-year-old purple belt was like, hey, you want to roll, man? And I'm looking at him, like his neck is just like that round. And I'm like, man, I know what's about to go down. And this dude, he turned up on me so hard. He was, in terms of like technical level, I was like head and shoulders above him. But in terms of like athleticism and almost there type jujitsu, the dude was phenomenal. I was like, holy crap. So I just kept leg locking him. I was like, nah, man. Like, he went for this like crazy arm bar. I was like, I'm just going to shrug him off real quick. And he latched it on. And I was just like, it's going to break. It's going to break. It's going to break. And then like, I was like, if I let him take this, he's gonna go home today, and I'm that black belt that he just beasted out, and I'm gonna be on his mantle, and that's it. And
not today, like, Junior.
I was like, that's it. Here we go. And I got out of it, and I just kept leg locking him over and over again, and it was the cheapest thing. As every 4 seconds this dude tried to move, I catch him. Right again, bow, bow, just kept catching him for the rest of the round. Just to like, I was like, all right, cool, I made it out alive with that one. But man, that 85% plus some athleticism, whew, I want nothing to do with that.
You're talking to the king of situations like that.
Well, you know, the first time I got knee barred was in Japan, and I'd never been knee barred before, so I didn't know what that was. And the guy kept doing it to me over and over and over again. Finally, I just told him, I was like, look, bro, I don't have any defense for whatever you're doing. So I don't know if you want to move to something else. But
what was it?
It was some random white belt.
No, it was a no-gi guy that showed up. He wasn't in most of the. I think I'd only seen him in that one class. But,
Filipino dude? Or?
No, it was a
white dude.
And you talk about fat necks. This dude had like
he'd sit down and I was standing. So like we'd start standing, he'd immediately sit, and then he'd go in and grab my leg and do something to my knee. And I was like, I didn't know how to defend it because I'd never seen it. And I was like, I just told him, I was like, you can do this to me the whole match, or we can just like leave that one alone. Like I didn't know how to stop it.
To describe,
I dislocated 3 toes though.
That's right.
In that match.
Yeah,
like he kept doing it to my knee, and I ended up dislocating 3 toes. Yep.
You talk about fat neck. This dude had like a Kurt Angle neck. It was like it was nothing but here. He was literally standing there after the match, and I was like, "Hey man, have a good night." He's like,
"Yeah."
Like, it was like tiny neck.
But he wasn't as bad as the bear. The bear worked me.
I don't think you were still out to see.
Yeah, you were out to see when somebody like I don't remember who he was. He was a nice guy, but
we haven't talked about it in a while.
Yeah, I guess you could tell him. Yeah.
You should tell him. Tell the story. This is.
I don't remember who he was, but
I watched John get mauled by a bear in real life on the mat one day. It was hilarious.
And it was also a tough time for me because my legs were still a little sore. Like I went through all this stuff, so the rolls I'd always kind of be careful with the rolls. But this guy was like on me, man. He was like non-stop attacking like hard, and all I could do was defend. It was so bad that I looked over my shoulder and Travis is like looking at me with 2 big eyes on the sideline, and I was thinking, bro, you gonna jump in here or what? Like, and the guy was getting frustrated because I kept like managing to get out of it, but I was like, man, that was like one of the toughest rolls I've ever had in my life.
He had to have been 18 to 20, maybe 21 years old,
and I'm in my 40s.
He looks like a former wrestler. Like, he was probably, to describe this guy, he's probably like 5'10", 6 foot, 170 pounds of just muscle. And he like looks at John, he's like, you want to roll?
And I was like, damn, why does everyone pick me? But I did it.
And that's what I remember. What I remember most about you guys was how hard you were to submit. I don't know if it was Travis. One of you two, at the end of one of our rolls, I was just like, dang, dude, well done. Because it was like Operation Onslaught, right? It's like the new guy comes in, and then since I'm the one that was instructing class, I want you to feel like I have something to offer. So when we roll, I want you to be like, okay, this dude has like a practical application of everything that he's showing us. At least, yeah. At least I'm not like this bum Jerry who probably like surfed YouTube like 3.5 minutes before starting class. And he's like, I don't know what I'm doing, but nobody knows enough to question me. So I'm just going to go with it. Like, and I was just like, I think it was you, Travis. I was like, man, I would promote both of you right now if you guys were under our banner. And that was the thing that stuck out. So when you guys got your blue belt, I was like, oh, fucking time. Like, and back of my students.
Bro, if you would have seen me and Travis on our Sundays, we'd go train by ourselves and we'd bring a GoPro in the Hawk's Nest and we would start on the first mat in the corner. And sometimes we'd go 15, 20 minutes straight, just me and him. And we'd end up clear across the room. But sometimes we'd have blood all over the place.
Yeah.
Like they were just great rolls on Sundays.
When we would train together, it was I think that because we were grinding for our blue belt.
We wanted the blue belts.
When we're coming back from Japan, we are getting our blue belts, right? That was our mindset. So I was training every day. I wasn't training jiu-jitsu. I was in the gym working out, right? And then Sundays we would meet at the mat on open mat. Well, it was just open gym. And then John and I would train for about an hour, go get McDonald's afterwards.
Yeah, quarter pounders. That was the highlight.
and then we would go home and go grocery shopping or whatever. But it was like we would talk about it at work. We were known by other people in our office like, Jesus, can they stop talking about jiu-jitsu? It was that bad.
The uninitiated will never understand.
Right.
They'll never understand. And then if you try and initiate them, they go one of two ways. The fuck that, I'm not doing that ever again. There's something here that I need to understand. But I very rarely meet people in the middle, right? Where they're just like, well, you know what? I didn't think it was that bad, but, it's probably not for me. Like, I either meet people that are like, no, not again. Or, like, man, I want to do that. And if they end up not doing it, life happens. Life kind of gets in the way or things like that. But it's usually what stops them.
Yeah, I introduced a friend of ours who is a former wrestler. He's actually in our office. His name's Johnny, and he was a middleman. I've only met one person who was a middleman. He started it, and he's like, you know what? I enjoyed wrestling growing up, but jiu-jitsu, it's been too long, and I feel like I'm not gonna get it. And he's like, but I appreciate it. And then that was the end of it. I was like, well, at least you tried it, and.
I hate hearing stuff like that, man, because the expectation to be good at anything in this world without like a non-stop practice of it, it's not realistic. And like for every one LeBron James that just like is just built for something, you have a million other Allans out there that are like the short, bald Asian dudes that are grinding on the mat, getting beat up for like the first 6 years of jiu-jitsu before it finally is like, all right, I think I kind of got it. Maybe a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it's definitely a tough sport. Definitely not good for the ego, i.e. me quitting for like my first month.
Hey, sometimes I'm driving home and I'm like, man, I feel pretty good. I got this. Some days I go, I'm like, I'm horrible. I need to turn this belt in. This is ridiculous.
The choir, even the roles I've had in my whole 8 days as a fucking black belt. The black belt over there at this gym that I'm at right now that's let me train with him. I caught myself in an armbar that he wasn't even pursuing. Because I thought I could do something to get, like, I was just like, this'll work. As I'm, like, stuck in this, like, half omoplata type position. And I was like, now's the time to put this into use. And I just feel my arm just popping. And I was like, oh, God. This didn't work at all. And I'm like verbally tapping. I'm like, tap, 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 please. And he's like, you all right? I was like, yeah, I think I broke my own arm, man. I'm going to be honest.
You tapped yourself.
Yeah, you actually didn't get anything. I almost broke my own arm, but thanks for stopping.
Yeah. I was like, you were holding that position so well, I arm barred myself. And
hilarious.
I felt awful about that. Granted, we had a fantastic, like, 2 rolls the whole time. But, that 5-second portion of it just keeps replaying over in my mind. Like, how dare you? How dare you wear a black belt and do that to yourself?
Hey, are you going to compete on the black belt level?
Dude, I want to so badly. So I didn't even get to compete at brown belt because my career has just been so freaking nuts. And then when I finally thought I found some downtime, a pandemic hits the fucking world and destroys everybody's 2020.
Yep.
So as soon as this is my very, very last school. I've been in this like 10-month pipeline of schools, just learning, and before I even start my new job. And I'm at the finish line here, and I'm gonna have some type of stability. So my daughter's starting to get a little bit easier to handle. So like, don't tell my wife that I'm like slack off or nothing, but like she's requiring a lot less, even though she requires a lot. It's just like she's starting to like require a lot less. So I feel like I might be able to up my training, but I'm dying to compete at black belt, man. Not because I think I'm gonna win, but like one of the greatest things that I've ever learned was how to lose in jiu-jitsu, man. And like every time I lose, I'm just like, there's more to learn now. Like,
yeah,
you'll never, yeah. So it's like, a lot of people are just like, that's fucked up, man. Like, can't believe that happened. And it's like, nah, like, there's something more to work for at least. And now, like, it helps me pinpoint things. One of my main training partners, his name's Daniel, fantastic black belt. He's been training for like 16, 17 years or something. He's incredible. And like, he's one of the people that, he took me seriously as like a purple belt. Right? When he first met me, he never like shit on me, like you'll meet the really, really good dudes that'll just kind of like, I don't know if you guys ever roll with dudes that make faces while you roll with them. Like,
yeah.
Like,
if you want to see the faces, you got to go to our YouTube page and look at Allan's faces during this scene. Like, yeah.
Oh, I guess I'll sweep you like this. But like, no, man, Daniel, this dude has always treated me like a real adversary. And in such, I have never won against him one time. Usually taps me out every single roll. And then like every so often, like I'll make it out alive, like pretty well. Like yeah, all right, I survived. It wasn't like I stayed in an arm bar and did the old like heavyweight special where I just crossed my arms for 6 minutes and then just like didn't get me. If I didn't tap, I won, right?
Right.
But like full blown rolls, and I end up like doing well. And he has never like treated me like a less than. So that dude gets me like excited about losing. And then there's like sometimes I got to give up position a little bit to start losing, so I can for like the lower belts, like the blue belts and the purple belts and stuff like that. Just give up a position, and I get tapped by it, and like I got to pay the man, right? You let somebody take your back, and you like sleep on them real quick, and you're unconscious or you're being strangled or something. Like,
right.
It's the way she goes. It's the way she goes. I deserved it. So it's like, wow, I guess my back defense wasn't that good, considering the blue belt just choked me. So do you guys remember Nate?
Nate. Was he a blue belt?
Yeah, he was like my very first blue belt ever.
I think so. He had his brother, right? That was in MMA.
It was just him out there, Filipino dude, just incredibly athletic.
I don't think he was in.
No, he was on the ship with me, so you guys probably didn't get to see him too much.
Mm-mm.
Well, he was like the black label prodigy, right? The dude that you always hear about, like wrestled, just insane athlete. And there were times like if I attacked his lower body, if I went below the legs or below the waist, I'd snake him every time.
Right.
If you gave him like the back on purpose, it was like a 50-50 for me, man. And that dude, I ended up teaching him how to like choke people out without hooks and stuff. And then I gave him my back and just started slapping his hooks around laughing. And that dude choked the piss out of me.
Oh my God.
I deserved that. I deserved all of that.
Yeah.
And then like same with Maria. Maria, she's a tiny female. She's
right.
Fantastic purple belt. So technical. And I would like put my feet into her arms because she's like, she wants to do leg locks. She wants to do leg locks. And at first she wasn't very good. And then eventually I had to like really start fighting, man. So I was like, I'm getting like heel hook left and right. And it's always something, right? When you think you're good and you find out you're nowhere near as good as what you are, it's exciting for me.
Yeah. There's a couple of white belts that, like you talk about, there's some people that just get it. You know what I mean? Like they're like, they were made for it. We have a guy.
It's not me, for sure.
His name's Keegan, and he's, I don't know.
Animal.
He's an animal.
Animal. He's flexible. He's tall. He's got the body for it. It's like a human pretzel. He's very, very difficult to deal with.
But he's a white belt and part of the YouTube group. You know what I mean? Like YouTube's a lot of stuff and whatnot. Like most white belts are, to tell you the truth. But he is skinny, long-limbed, and I'm like, I have to actually, to pass his guard or to actually get him in something, I have to turn it up. You know what I mean? Like I have to actually try hard. I'm like, oh man, this dude's literally defending a lot of the stuff that I'm doing.
I love those dudes, man. They just come out of nowhere too. You don't expect it, and then there's a blue belt right now that I'm training with, Victor. So flexible, but like he does a lot of weird stuff which I don't understand why he's doing it, but probably because I'm not flexible like that. So it works. I mean, it works for his body, but man, that dude is the exact same way. Like you try and like smash him real quick, and he'll just like put his legs behind his neck, and he's just so unfazed by it. It's like, all right, it's clobbering time, baby. And then you got to turn up the heat and start smashing on him. But how long is that going to last, right?
Right.
How much time do I have left? And I'm looking at the little hourglass right now, like I got like a year left before this dude's probably gonna be taking my head off. So
say that all the time.
Yeah, we posted on our Instagram page a little snippet of the episode that comes out on Monday of our buddy Todd, and our friend was like, "Hey man, hopefully you guys have been training out there because you're gonna come back to some killers." I was like, "Great."
And I'm like, "Man, I haven't trained since July. This is
same.
gonna be tough."
Are you doing all no-gi at that Krav Maga place?
So I've literally not only did their Krav Maga, so. Yeah, it's no-gi, but they don't really do any jiu-jitsu. It's like more stand-up striking type stuff. Like
they have an MMA class.
Yeah, which I haven't done that one. Originally, when I came down here, I was going to go to Victory MMA because I wanted to learn some stand-up, some boxing. So I've literally just been doing boxing lessons with this Krav Maga place. I got a guy there that been boxing for 10 to 12 years, and that's all I've been doing.
Oh, right on. Why haven't you stopped in at Victory?
Well, the couple times I rolled over there, they've been closed. I don't know if it's COVID or not, but the only place I could find that was open was this Krav Maga place.
Yeah, I trained at Victory for like a month or two. Dude, there's just the facility's incredible.
Yeah,
I don't know if you've been inside of the facility, but it's incredible. I was there when Jeff Glover was teaching there. It was just like there was not a lot of consistent training partners in there. So like one of the things I like about being at a gym for a long time is having like a consistent training partner. Because then I don't feel like I'm going against a dude that has to defend the house. You know what I'm saying? Like the gatekeeper. Every gym has this like the tribe of gatekeepers, right? Like the new guy comes in with a belt other than a white belt. That means he got his belt from somebody else, and he comes in here and he runs through some of our guys. He's either A, gonna quit and tell everybody about how crap we are, or B, he's just gonna not care and say, what it is. But it's more likely it's A. It's usually A, where they roll out and they talk about how like I can't believe they gave this guy a XYZ belt. He's not even that good, even though he's a doctor with 3 kids and
can barely train twice a week. Yeah,
has no bearing on them, right? I see a certain color belt, he should be this, and if he's not that, he's trash, and this gym's trash.
Right.
That's my Yelp review, and yeah, dude, there was just no consistency there. There was like a couple brown belts that I was training with. I was still a purple, and these dudes were such nice dudes, such like a good core group of dudes. And then like the dudes that would come in that weren't there a lot, they would see me and they think I'm the new guy, even though I was already there for like a month. And like, I'm the new guy. So here I am all over again, like fighting, storming Omaha Beach, just so I can have like a normal class, so I can have a normal class of like, man, I'm really working on this right now. And this dude just did knee on neck on me for no reason, as hard as he could. And now we have to restart the, hi, I'm Allan, I've been here for a while. So that's I just like having consistent partners where I don't feel like I'm going to die.
I do too. For one, it's like, I don't know, like talking about going and trying out a new school or something like that. You know, like for me, that almost gives a little bit of tension or apprehension because I don't know anyone in there. They don't know me. They don't know any issues I may have. I don't know if they have them. Like, so it's just such a weird vibe for me. That's why it was nice when normally I travel. Travis travels. So I'm like, well, I know I got a partner if we go somewhere.
Yeah, you guys got super lucky, man. Not only y'all homies, y'all are both Jitsu homies. So.
Right. Yeah, podcast homies. It was funny. This whole idea of the podcast came from Japan. Our jiu-jitsu, like, honestly, kind of like stepped up because of Japan. Whether it was like our mentality, our technique, and stuff like that, is because of Japan. We were sitting. John had never listened to podcasts before we went to Japan, and I told him, I'm like, hey man, you ever listen to podcasts? Like, no, what are podcasts? It was like, it's like an audio book.
Here I am, the old guy. I'm like, what are you talking about?
Yeah.
Podcasts.
And like now John's like addicted to podcasts, right? But in Japan, I was like, I kind of want to start a jiu-jitsu podcast because I can't find a podcast where it's like white belts going through it. You know what I mean? Like, we were white belts at the time. I was like, I can't find something where someone's like, hey, I'm a white belt. This is what I'm going through, and this is our journey. And so I was like, John, we should start a podcast. And this is where Elbows Tight Podcast came from.
Yeah, dude, all these podcasts right now, it's from the perspective of the unattainable, right?
Right.
There's nothing more unattainable than a black belt when you're white. You know what I'm saying?
Shit, it was like, blue belt for me. I'm like,
you're talking
black belt. I was like, blue belt. I was like, man, Google. Do I suck? How do I get to a blue belt? And then I'm getting all these podcasts. I was like, all right, let's look at this.
Yeah, man, it's like the relatable thing, right?
Yeah.
Everybody always, if you go into a room of like 100 people and you know 6 of them, and these 6 people only know the exact same 6 people, we all just kind of make our way over to this one area, right? And then like everybody's just kind of left out, and it's the same deal. It's hard for me, and I do enjoy listening to like Keenan and like all the big names in jiu-jitsu, but I can't really relate to you considering you have like an 8,000 square foot facility that you paid for. Meanwhile, like, I'm getting my ass beat 12 hours a day praying for a half day, like living a real life because started too late. I'm not built XYZ. All of these like different factors. I have a real career and things like that. So yeah, that's why I like your guys' podcast, man.
I appreciate
relatable.
That. I feel like you understand me.
Yeah, you brought up a good point earlier because I have to think about that sometimes because I'm competitive, right? You know, like I've always have been. So I got to think, man. Like, all right, let's look at it realistically. We work 6 days a week, 10 to 12 hours a day. How often can I get in the gym? And I got 2 kids myself, both of which are in jiu-jitsu. So it's like when I go to the gym, I get there 3 hours before my class so they can be in their classes. So not only am I at work all day, but then I'm at the gym all afternoon. So it's really hard to gauge progress, right? So I'm like, man, is 2 days a week enough for me to really progress, you know? But it's just hard stuff to think about.
Yeah, man. Luckily, it's a marathon sport.
Right.
One of the things, so when I got my black belt last week, Malachy like pulled me aside. So I told Malachy, we had this like agreement, man. Like I wanted 8 years as a brown belt.
This seems to be a theme.
All I asked for. That is all I asked for. Who asked to not be promoted? very few people ask to not be promoted. Unless you're like the IBJJF, I want to win worlds at every belt color. That's not me. I just wanted to enjoy the ride. Because there's nothing but gray hairs after this. Like, the next belt is what, white and red? Or black and red? Whatever I don't even know what the next belt color is. And I'm a black belt.
It's coral, I think. I think it's coral.
Look, whichever coral belt it is that comes up next, dude, I'm going to be like 75 years old or something.
In a walker.
Who cares? Who cares? So, like, why not postpone, like, what might be my final accomplishment of the sport? And Malachy was talking to me. He's like, how do you feel right now, like, that you're 34 years old? Like physically, how do you feel? I was like, man, I feel fantastic. Like, I feel, aside from, like, my random back pains that I get from just beating my body too much, everything being self-imposed, like, I feel fantastic. And he's like, and that's why I wasn't going to wait another 6 years for you, man. Because you're going to want that time to be a killer black belt. And, like, if you wait until you're 40 and things kind of, you know, the hinges start getting a little creaky, like, you're never going to, he was so worried about me, like, making the best out of the early years of black belt. He's like, he goes, you were a black belt. You are a black belt. Plain and simple. The entire reason why I promoted you was you're a black belt. But I wasn't going to wait the 6 years and kind of let your body start to kind of come down a little bit and then give you your black belt. And you should really enjoy having it now. And he's like, 6 years from now, you'll have like 2 stripes on there, man. And I was like, just give me the purple belt back so I can just fuck off all the time. You know, skip warm-ups, get tapped out, and nobody says a word to me. But oh man, I'm looking forward to the first, like, blue belt, just Nicky Rod that just beats the brakes off me. I'm looking forward to ending up on Sherdog.
Nicky Rod's crazy. I watched him. Remember I told you that I was like I think the first Polaris. Oh, is it Polaris?
Yeah.
Yeah, I watched with Nicky Rod, and when he got in that, I was like, that guy is a beast.
That dude knows about 3 jiu-jitsu moves.
Yeah, but he's strong as an ox.
It's insane.
Yeah.
And he won silver at ADCC as a blue belt.
Yeah.
Right.
First time at ADCC.
And that got his purple afterwards, right? And he's like sitting there like flexing his abs. He's like, chill out, bro. We get it. All right, man. God.
Yeah.
Like, somebody do a GoFundMe and get this motherfucker a t-shirt, please.
How are you gonna get your purple belt? You don't ever have a shirt on. What do you,
That guy's an animal.
Yeah, he's incredible, man. That entire camp is incredible. And, like, I like how a lot of the lower name dudes right now that are, like, holding Browns under John, they're starting to get a little bit of recognition. And it's like, of course, if you're, it all goes back to, well, they're not, like, black belts, or they're not, like, they didn't win ADCC. Yeah, well, there's only like 50 people in the entire history of the sport that have won ADCC. So shut the fuck up. You don't act like these dudes don't have something to offer you. So I like, even though we're not even like really going into that segue, but how like professional jiu-jitsu is starting to come out, and a lot of these like lesser known names are starting to get recognition. Instead of just the same old dudes all the time. It's all the time the same dudes. I got to hear about them all the time. So I like hearing about these new cats, even though it's becoming like 50-50 city, and the game's starting to change a lot. It's you watch some of these shows, you'll know why we'll never be in the Olympics. I'll tell you that much. But yeah, it's exciting. I like where the sport's going, and like, who knows, man? Like, we might be pioneers, even though we're what generation are we now? Like the 3rd generation of jiu-jitsu students?
Yeah, it's still a very early conception of a sport. You know what I mean? Like, it started probably about the same time the NFL started. When did the first? It was like what, 42, 43? It's when jiu-jitsu started. Yeah,
when Helio like started doing his little matches and stuff.
Yeah, well, Brazilian jiu-jitsu started. I think it was like in the early 40s, if I remember correctly, or late 40s.
Yeah, man. That's and then if you think about jiu-jitsu as the sport, that's just the sport. Think of how new it really is.
That part to me seems really new. The sport part of it.
Well, it's been around for it's been around for the sports side for maybe a little over 20 years now, late 90s.
Yeah, roughly. That sounds about right.
But in that time, how far it's progressed and how much it's gained, it seems like a lot, but it honestly has only really been in the last 5-6 years is when it really has just like skyrocketed to mainstream. You know what I mean? With big names like the Gordon Ryans or the Galvos and all those guys, like they've always been there, but then I don't know, something just clicked in it was probably social media, and then it just started just skyrocketing.
I always wonder if it's going to end up like karate. Remember have you ever heard of the Karate Nerd?
No, man, but that is like one of my biggest fears.
Well, you should check out the Karate Nerd. He's awesome, and like I'm not a karate guy or anything, and it just kind of came up on my Facebook feed, and what caught my attention was the guy said why karate doesn't work, and he's a black belt in it. So I was like, okay, well this is interesting. So I watched the video, and he goes into like the history of it, right? And he's like, in the 1800s, karate was breaking bones and self-defense and immediately getting out of whatever threat you were in. And like he's going through it. And then he's like, and then it moves over to Japan, and they start, and Okinawa was where it went, and they start making it like cultured, and it's something they teach kids to make them better people. So that it like changes, it progresses, right? And then it goes into sport mode, which is what you see now, which is the kicks and all that. And to me, I was thinking, man, that really hit home to me, and it kind of correlated to jiu-jitsu, because jiu-jitsu, and when it really started, was all about, the breaking the bones, the get self-defense. It was really self-defense driven, and it was like getting out of it as soon as possible. And then it moves over to sport, right? And once our school switched to sport after me and Travis had been in it for about 8 months. So it was like a really hard thing for me to get grips with, because I was like, man, who's going to do this in a fight? If I try this Berimbolo in a fight, I'm just going to get punched in the face. Like it really didn't make sense to me. And then a lot of the stuff, for the sports side, holding a position for 3 seconds so you get points, and then moving on to the next thing. I was like, well, that's not really self-defense, right? Like, so I'm like, well, in 10 or 15 years, is jiu-jitsu going to be like karate?
Man, I hope not, because trying to digest sport karate, I just want to gouge my eyes out.
Yeah.
It's awful. It's like two dudes bouncing. They're just bouncing, like in place. And I guess they like some of them you can't hit in the face or something.
Yeah.
I know there's like a full contact version that's pretty brutal, and I'm like, yeah, I don't want no part of that. But anything that kind of gives the certification, for lack of better terms, of mastery, which is the black belt, to like a 9-year-old, you got to be like,
yeah,
there's fuckery afoot here, boys. Like,
I like that term.
The fuckery afoot. I like it.
Yeah, that's cool that like little Timmy can break a plastic board that you can put back together, so Sarah can also break that board shortly thereafter. That's cool. But like, it's kind of it's distorted a lot of people's idea, like real martial arts for self-defense. And I do see sport jiu-jitsu probably like 90% of what we do on the mats as just like hilarious. It to include the shit I do, because like I guess like the first 6 months to a year you're learning how to fight people that can't fight, right?
Right.
And as soon as that year's up and you kind of like digested all of that, you're just like, all right, well, what if I'm fighting somebody who does jiu-jitsu? And that's when the whole sport act. Yeah, and then that's like where the sport comes from. And then like, I guess like Hadra Gracie would be like the best idea of like fundamentals, just going to the absolute pinnacle. Because like this dude was not rolling around on his neck or all the other crazy stuff that we're seeing out there now, like flying Berimbolos or all that stuff. that I see on Instagram now, like, it's crazy. I wish I could do it.
Yeah.
But, like, I can't do it, so maybe I'm just talking because I'm jealous.
Well, have you watched any of that combat jiu-jitsu? Who's Joe Rogan's boy? He always got on conspiracy
Eddie
theory.
Bravo.
Yeah, you watch any of Eddie Bravo stuff?
I saw some of it, and I was just like, what? Yeah, because it was like open hand.
What?
Slapping something?
Bro, I'll tell you what, it's pretty entertaining. I've watched a lot of it, and you'll get some high-level jiu-jitsu guys. I mean, like high-level going up against some MMA guys, and the rules are set up interesting. Like, if you go to the ground, then you can get hit.
Yeah, so, but standing up, there's no hits.
Correct. And, like, the way they do tiebreakers is you start, like, on their back. You know, what can you do in 20 seconds? Like, those are the tiebreakers. And I watch it, and I'm like, man, that is some good stuff, because then you really see some practicality of, like, some of these high-level guys, they actually can handle it. But for, like, some of the first few rounds, you see them getting hit in the face so much on their back while the other guy's standing up, and you're like, whew, this is rough.
Dude, that's why I love the UFC, right?
Right.
The UFC is kind of like the ultimate proving grounds of, like, is it gonna work? Like,
yeah.
And I hate, if it's one thing I hate anecdotal evidence.
Yes.
Right? You cannot show me something working one time and then just be like, that's it. The 540 kick to the temple is the be-all, end-all kick that you ever need to learn. Because, or what did Anthony Pettis do to Vincent Henderson? He jumped off the cage and did
and then you see a bunch of it now.
Yeah, like, one dude gets kicked in the face from a cage jump. You got everybody and their uncle in the gym now, jumping off the cage, practicing kicks. And it's like, look, man, A, this dude's world class, the top of the world. And B, that's anecdotal. Meanwhile, this dude hasn't practiced a jab, and that's like a punch in any combat sport. So, yeah, I think that's why, like, I can't get behind a lot of stuff. A, because I'm not athletic / like flexible enough for it, and then B, I'm just not digging it, man. You know?
Yeah.
I'm just not digging it.
And people are so like enthralled by what's on social media, right? Because there's like a million jiu-jitsu pages, and
if I can only watch half the stuff I've saved in my Facebook videos.
Yeah. And everyone's trying to introduce the new move or how to do something better. So John and I have an idea of for our YouTube page is we want to go back to the basics and do like very basic instructional stuff that works for us, like how we like to set up our scissor sweeps, how we like to set up our triangles or whatever. You know what I mean? Like very basic things, like go back to the fundamentals. And it's, once again, like you said earlier, it's more relatable because we're blue belts. Like we've only been a blue belt for coming up on a year now. So it's not a world-class black belt that's, I don't know. Like, I think there's some justification for those guys too, but to me, I just can't watch it because I'm like it's just so far out of reach for me to get to that level. It's kind of like I can't. You know what I mean?
Yeah. One of the things. So I love Trey. Me and Trey, I've known Trey for 7, 8 years now. Something crazy like that. I hate his game. I hate it. Like, could you imagine, like, trying to take somebody's jacket, feeding your leg through it, and then wrapping it behind their leg, then spinning, armbarring them, like, in any platform other than, like, a jiu-jitsu only match.
Yes.
And so, like, it's hard for me to stomach, man. It almost feels like a cheat code. Because, like...
So before you keep going, for those that don't know what Allan's talking about, Trey plays a lot of worm, squid, lapel guard, and he loves, whenever I rode with him, the first thing he does is untucks your gi and grabs the end of it. And you're like, well, here we go.
Yeah, man. But you know what I do love about his game was I've trained with him for so long that whenever I run into people that use it, man, it's just Smash City all day. So I got something out of it, but man, I hate it. I hate it. I get so tired just being in there, just having to always like hunched over, holding their weight. Like you have two choices, right? You can concede and alleviate some of the pressure, but now you're on bottom.
Right.
And, yeah. Or you can sit there and fight it for a little bit and hope their hands kind of give out just enough so you can break the grip.
He would grab my belt in the this is why I got promoted as 6-stripe white belt, is because in one of my roles with Trey, he grabbed my belt and he was using it against me, my belt. And I was like, I don't know what to do with this, right? But he rolled 2 of my stripes down into my 2nd stripe. And so at the end of the roll, I looked at Trey and I was like, so I did so bad you demoted me to a 2-stripe white belt, right? And he's like, sorry, man, right? And so then we got back to Washington State, and I got promoted to 4-stripe white belt again. I was like,
Trevor's like, I've already had these a couple times now.
Yeah, I was like, Professor Al, I'm actually already a 4-stripe white belt. I just haven't fixed this belt. He's like, oh well, it's fixed now.
Yeah, those Japan guys demoted me.
Yeah.
So I came back to earn it back.
Yeah, but when he grabbed my belt, I was like, I don't know what to do with this. I was like, I've never played against someone that's done this before, and it was a big eye opener. And Trey was great with that, man. I remember one class we showed up. I showed up, and John had already left Japan, and I was the only one there. And there was quite a few classes, and instead of Trey just canceling the class, he was like, "Well, you want a free private?" And I was like, "Yeah." And it was an hour. Multiple times, and it was an hour of me and Trey one-on-one, and I was like, I want to learn this. And really what I was trying to learn was how to beat Trey. You know?
Yeah, that's it. Dude, yeah, that's what I'm saying, man. You don't ever have to learn it. You just have to be able to recognize it and like figure out like what's it gonna take to beat. Like so a lot of the things that I'll study it's like preventative. It's like preventative maintenance. I just don't. How do I not get there in the first place? And if I mess that up, if I mess up how to not get there, how do I not succumb to their will while I'm in there? So, A, how to prevent it, B, how to stay there, and then C, how to get out. And like those are always like my 3 like tiers of things that I learned. So when Trey first started doing all this lapel stuff, I think he was still a blue belt and I was a purple belt at the time. I would pull my gi out. And immediately he would put it into worm guard and just sweep me. Boom, sweep me, and I'd spend the next 5 minutes like fighting for my life. So I was like, all right, so now I got to figure out how to stay here. And it's like, pull it out, and boom, start the timer. And I was able to like hang out for like a minute or 2, and then he would figure out something new. And it was like this constant evolution to a point where there's a guy that comes to open mat on Fridays. He's so good. He's such a good purple belt. I think he's a brown belt in my opinion. He put me in. I saw him doing worm guard to one of the other purple belts. I was like, tight, and pulled my lapel out. I was like, go for it, brother. You're in. And he's like, all right, tight. And he takes it, and I just killed him.
Got him.
And like, yep. And I'm like, tight. Appreciate it. And I just killed him for it. And all I could think about was just like, man. Like Trey hooked it up so much, and all Trey's trying to do is just choke me out. Like, but like that's my entire thing. I will never play worm guard ever, my entire life. I will never play it. I might teach it until like whatever new generation comes up and whatever's like the new hot thing at the time. So when leg locks disappear, right, when they kind of just become a normal part of the sport and not this like heavily focused, look at everybody's doing leg lock style, and it just becomes a part of the sport. Whatever the newest trend is going to be, which is probably going to be a bunch of lapel crap, like, at least I'll be able to like discuss it and teach it. I just won't be using it. So.
Right.
So it's a collection, right?
So in your jiu-jitsu journey, speaking of not playing certain guards, what have you found that is like your go-to for your game now?
So any part that involves me being underneath somebody. So X guard, absolute X guard, all the time X guard. I think I know like 9 or 10 entries into the X guard from every major guard that you do. So that's what I did, right? I prioritized something that worked for me. And the beautiful part about X guard is it doesn't really matter how big and strong you are, but if I'm underneath your legs, completely underneath your legs, it doesn't really matter. Like balance is balance. There's a plane of off balance. All of the principles still apply. So I found something that worked for me really, really well, which was X guard. And then all I did for the last like 10 years was no matter where I was at, how do I get to X guard?
Yeah.
And that's all I did was I hammered away at it. That's the beautiful part about it is you learn other guards on accident. So I ended up getting real big into reverse de la Hiva because I don't like half guard. I don't like anybody pressuring on me because more often than not, I'm the smaller dude. I'm just the smaller dude. And that's just the way it goes. So anytime somebody's putting pressure down on me, I'm like, oh God, like blue belt, purple belt, they're probably going to, if they have enough pressure, I'm going to have to let them go and I'm going to have to fight from side control instead. Because like I can burn all my diesel here, trying to do I'm going to lock your leg down. I'm going to do lockdown Eddie Bravo style and just sit there and hold you the whole time and hope that you mess up and hope that you give up an underhook, which you already secured from me. Or I'm going to have to learn how to like get out. So I started using reverse de la Hiva, which is essentially an open half guard. And then I was just like, all right, well, they're not standing anymore. They quit standing in reverse de la Hiva. All my training partners got hit to me. And they're trying to smash me again in half guard. So I started doing half butterfly guard, which allowed me to put my knee across your chest and keep your chest off of me. So now I still have that distance. You can't underhook me. And I'm able to float you with the normal butterfly hook and go, you guessed it, into X guard. And like that was like how my entire game evolved. So my entire game had an X guard stamp in the middle of it, and I worked out from there. Instead of like, I think the traditional path is like, all right guys, this month we're doing full guard, triangles, arm bar, scissor sweep, flower sweep, pendulum sweep, and then like, what happens when they stand up? Eiffel Tower. And what happens if they do this? Like, no, man, I don't like closed guard, so I'm not going to do it. And
I might have to research that a little deeper.
I respect that. Find something you love, and that's your starting point. If something you love was berimbolo, which I see all these like small dudes doing still at like the highest levels, start there. And then you pick up everything else as it goes along. Because it's time, right? It's time on the mat. You're going to realize that you can't berimbolo everything.
Right.
So you better learn something else to get you to the berimbolo. And that's all it was. So many times I've had to tap out or get smashed or get my guard passed. But man, I tell you what, like as the years went on and as the belt got darker, like my X guard, I love it. I just love it. And I never feel worry anymore. And now I'm starting to open my game further because of the entire feeling that I get that no matter what, I can get to where I want to be.
So you prefer being on your back when you're in the matches?
No, I hate it. I'm actually a top player, man.
You prefer top?
Which is absolutely. Like, get on top, stay on top. That's what I used to teach in Japan. Which is why I play off my back, because I want to always have a way to the top. Dude, I've done everything.
Okay, now I see what you're saying, because I'm like, hold on. What are you saying here? But now I get it. All right.
Like, journey has been so wrong. And, like, you always start a puzzle by you always do the border, right?
Right, yeah.
And then you fill it from the outside in. I was like, no, I'm doing the pony head first, right in the middle. And then I started there, and it's been so much harder on me. But like, it's been so much more gratifying as I start spreading out that puzzle to like actually start to hit the edges, man. I hate being on bottom. I absolutely hate it.
I never understood that. Professor Al would always be like, get on top, and I'm like, man, I'm comfortable on the bottom. Like, I'm good there. Like, I'm okay with that. And then I did a competition, and I went up a weight class, right? So I wasn't sure, like, what I'd weigh in at, so I chose the 195, right? And then I went and weighed in, and I was 180, so I could have been a class under. And so I did the competition, you know, and I only lost one match. I medaled. It was all right. But the second guy I went up against, like, I immediately went to, like, pull guard like I normally do, and I was like, this dude's crushing me. I was like, I don't want to be here anymore. Like, I don't ever want to be on the bottom again in a match, like, ever.
Or preaching to the choir.
Yeah.
Like, oh, I don't mind being on bottom if the dude is my size. But, like, the moment they have, like, 10 pounds on me, I feel those 10 pounds.
I totally agree. I don't ever want to be on the bottom again.
Yeah, I respect that, man.
And now when we do, you know, your rolls after rounds, for the most part, everyone always starts sitting down. I don't like doing that anymore. I like to start standing.
Yes.
But I don't, you know, I don't know if we just don't have enough people in our school yet that are comfortable with that. But if I have the choice, and I always ask them, I prefer to start standing.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Love takedowns. Love them. Every chance I got. We used to have Takedown Tuesdays back in the day, in my blue belt days. And, like, that's where I learned how to wrestle. Takedown Tuesdays. So we had all these, like, phenomenal wrestlers. And then I go out to Japan, and nobody was really doing takedowns. And I ended up not teaching too many takedowns just because I don't have a wrestling pedigree. So I was like, man, I feel like I'd be selling you guys, like, wolf tickets right now, like, telling you how great I am, and then you, like, find holes in my shit. I'm pretty decent at, like, 4 takedowns total. And that was that, man. So I would stand and wrestle with, like, our wrestler guys, and they would just beat the brakes off me. But it didn't matter, because you're always getting better, right? Even when you're losing. So always stand. Every chance you get, always stand.
I feel like I'm at a disadvantage as soon as I'm, like, on the ground. Like, as soon as my butt's on the mat, I feel like I've already lost the advantage. That's why I really prefer the standing.
Natural, man. That's why, like, I get on top and stay on top. That's why I play bottom. That's why I try and play bottom unless this dude, I think he's straight up better than me, or if I think I'm going to be miserable at the bottom, I'll start on bottom. Just because my entire goal is always to get to top. And then once I get on top, I try and stay on top. And that includes submitting on top, where when people do arm bars or triangles and stuff, finish on top. Once you're on top, you stay on top. And so that's like where my game goes.
Yeah, you're mentioning the X guard. Our first introduction to X guard was actually in Japan, and the X sweep. And ever since then, man, you say you don't like half, but going half into X is like my favorite entry. You know what I mean? So I'll let people get half guard. I'm like, thank God, now I can get out of here. You know what I mean? Like, because the X sweep is like so reliable to me. You know, once I force that underhook on that thigh, and I just bring that thigh to my head and get the X on my feet, bro, and I'm like, oh, thank God I can get out of here.
You were killing me with that down there.
Yeah.
I was like, this bastard. He knows I don't know what this is.
Even in class.
There's no pressure on you. There's no body weight. And,
right.
like, the natural reaction is actually to release the pressures. They always want to stand up, right? They want to stand up because they think standing up means they're clear. But now, like in the hierarchy of everything, if you're laying flat on your back, you're unsweepable, but you have no mobility. But if you're on your knees, you're like 50-50, right? You've got some mobility, but you're kind of sweepable. But once you stand up, you're a mobile machine, but your sweepability has gone through the roof. And it always, every time, yeah, man. So I always try and get people. That's why I love X guard, because I always want them to stand up, because my sweep percentage goes through the roof.
Right.
The moment they stand up. So there's no pressure on me. They're more worried about their balance. Oh, yeah, here, let me like lean forward 2 centimeters, and now you have to put both your hands on the mat tight. Now I don't have to worry about your hands messing around with me.
Right.
Now I can just stay here and look at you until I'm ready to sweep. So yeah, man, I know exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah, and I kind of like because a lot of people in our class don't like. I like half guard. Half guard is probably my favorite guard, for offensive and defensive, right? Like I like forcing half guard, like people forcing half guard on me. So I'm like, oh no, you got my leg. Looks like I'm in half guard. I guess I'll just smash you. You know what I mean? Like, and then also I'm like, oh no, I'm on my back. It looks like I got you in my half guard. I guess I'll just sweep you. You know what I mean? And that's honestly from Japan too. I'm like, half guard is legit because you got so much. To me, you have so much there, right? Like, if someone's like bracing against you, they have a good frame on your throat. Well, you could try to pass that arm, go for like a head and arm choke, or you could just pressure on top of them, go Von Flute choke or something like that. You know what I mean? Like there's just a lot of stuff there because they're like, oh, I'm in half guard, I'm safe. It's like, well, actually, I wanted you to go here because I know what to do from here. You know what I mean? Like that's how kind of like I'm getting.
Yeah, dude, I'm always weary about the positions that people pull me into. Like, when I was training the other day, one of the black belts pulled me into butterfly guard. Like just pulled me straight down into butterfly guard. So like my idea isn't like, man, I can pass butterfly guard pretty well because like I played butterfly guard nonstop. It was like danger, Will Robinson.
Yeah, your spider sense went off.
He did this on purpose. So like, yeah, if you were to like let me just go into half guard like that, and like I think the poker face is like a big part of jiu-jitsu, right?
Yes.
The poker face, and like if I lock you into half guard and I go to look at your expression and you're just like chilling, I'm like, oh, my back taken or I'm getting swept, and this is about to go down right now.
Right.
And it always makes me rewind. So like, it's kind of creepy, I guess, that I look at people's faces like what's he doing?
That's why I was looking at you, Travis. Like, what are you gonna do now?
Yeah.
Poker face, or if I get caught into an ankle lock, and I'm just like, I'm gonna die. Like my ankle hurts, so I'll be like the T1000, just stare at him.
This doesn't hurt. It doesn't hurt.
At it, and then meanwhile, as soon as they let go, I'm like, oh my god, and like you try not to limp when the round's over, so you don't give them that satisfaction, but deep down inside, you were screaming.
John's whole game is the poker face because what do you do when youngsters get at you?
I don't know what it is about me, but they all look at me like I'm like the target or something. I don't know what it is, and they're like, "You want to roll?" And I'm like, "Jesus Christ! All right, I'll do it." And then whatever I do, I just no pain, and I'm breathing.
John likes to tell him from the get go, "Hey, I'm kind of old. Take it easy on me." And then John just turns.
Then
I
smash them at least once, and then they're like, "That shit'll never work again." But I'll tell you what, man. When we first started, and we were like 6 or 7 months into this, and Cody and all the higher level belts and us would just, they'd get us every time easily. Of course, I told myself, opposite of you guys, everything that happened in a roll, in my mind, I went, it's a trap. It's a trap. Anything they did or moved, in my head, I was like, it's a trap. It's a trap. I'm going to do the complete opposite, whatever I feel like doing. And that's what I would tell myself to get through the rolls. Oh, it feels like I should go here. It's a trap. Like that's what I would tell myself.
Cody was notorious.
Almost got him until you busted me that one day.
Yeah, that was pretty funny. But Cody, our purple belt, he is notorious for, at the beginning, just darsing everyone. And so I was like, Cody's darsing people, I'm going to learn darce. I am going to learn how to darce a person from every position I possibly can. And I started darsing people like left and right. And then people caught on, and I haven't darsed someone in a long time because they're like, nope, Travis going, that's my arm. Nope, Travis going for a darce. You know what I mean? But Cody was notorious for it. He'd like be in mount, and he'd like sweep his leg over your head, and like he would wait for you to push off and like pass the leg so you can like roll to half. And he's like, got him. It's just right into darce, dude.
Thank you for this gift.
Yes. He's like,
I think I'm the only person I know that went to that darce seminar with the Gracies, and I left it and I still don't know how to do a darce.
Yeah, and you lost your glasses. I was just listening to the first episode or the second episode. He lost his glasses at the Gracie seminar for darce.
I sure did. Yeah,
and he couldn't see for like 6 months straight.
Yeah, that was good. That was a good time.
I think you just left your glasses there, right?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. Yeah, that's good.
Brett Gracie's over there, got some fresh eyes, I guess.
Right.
For sure.
So what is your journey from white to black been like? Because you mentioned it earlier how you like bounced around from a little bit from gym to gym, but what was the most satisfying belt you got? And then like I don't know, tell us like what it was like getting your black belt. You know what I mean? Like what was the feeling if you're like, holy crap, I just got a black belt?
Is it like that I made it? Or
yeah.
is there like an epiphany moment? Like finally I've reached the top of Mount Everest.
Blue belt was like the most exciting thing for me. Because I started competing, I think at 2 months into jiu-jitsu.
Hey, can you pass me a napkin?
Over at Naga, the world's greatest.
Yeah, Naga, baby.
Huya Naga. So these dudes, I was supposed to be in this they used to have like a novice division. You had like a novice, which was below beginner. So like it was like for the new people. And I signed up for novice, and they ended up just putting me in beginner, and I ended up almost winning. I got like silver. So in my mind, at 2 months in jiu-jitsu, I was just like, man, I'm about blue belt ready, which was ridiculous. It was a ridiculous thought, but I think that kind of goes through a lot of new people's minds. And then I started golding. Around like my 8 or 9 month mark, just started golding out at every single white belt competition.
Yeah. Oh, golding. I was like golding out. It was like, oh, so you're taking gold in all of them.
I won first place at like every subsequent competition after that at white belt. And I was like, I'm ready for brown. I'm ready for blue. I'm ready for blue. I never got my blue belt after I left that gym. After like a couple years. And I was like bummed out. I was like super bummed out about it, man, because I really, really thought I was going to get it. And I was just being naive. I get to Charleston. We start competing. I get all golds. And I'd given up on the blue belt idea. I was like, there are competitions that let you fight up a level anyway. So I was just going to start fighting up a level just because I kept golding out. And we had a seminar, and out of nowhere, I got my blue belt. And I was like, wow. And I'm like rocking this blue belt, and I'm telling everybody I got a blue belt, and all my shirts are blue now. And
the art of self-defense.
Yeah, everybody knows it. And never lost that blue belt. And I competed like every other month, and I never lost that blue belt. So purple belt kind of came really easy for me. Which is kind of weird because the two belts that you spend the most time at are going to be blue belt and black belt. So like, it didn't really make that much sense that I only spent, I think I only spent like a year and a half at blue.
Wow.
Yeah. And, when I started competing at purple, I won. I was already winning at purple right after I got promoted. So, but nothing felt as good as blue belt to me. Blue belt, I feel like, that was the real struggle. Black belt was like, I felt it coming in my body because all of a sudden at purple belt, I felt like I knew so much shit. And then at brown belt, I was just like, all that shit that I knew, I cut it in half. And I was like, all right, I'm not going to use about 50% of this stuff that I've picked up along the way because I don't really like it. And then I took the other 50% and all I did was I just kept polishing it. And it was just like,
yeah,
I'm going to do this like exact set of like 30 moves over and over again until I'm just blue in the face, until I can like shave off like this like centimeter that I feel like everybody's escaping out of. Or let me put this foot flat on the mat and then try this foot sideways and see which works better. And that's all I was doing for the last 2.5 years as a brown belt. And it ruins you. It ruins your mind because now you go, I don't know anything about jiu-jitsu. I feel like I'm finally, dude, it was like the most backwards like thing. It was like at white belt, I was just like, man, I'm so ready for promotions. And as like I started getting better, I was like, oh boy, we might need to halt some of these. And when Malachy promoted me, I finally felt like I was starting to understand jiu-jitsu on the level that it was supposed to be understood at. And it's not like, everybody always kind of likens it to chess, right?
Yeah.
Moving the knight here versus, and then you can move the queen here, but it's not like that. It is, but it isn't. It's not like if I put two hands in a collar like that, you can't just go, I know the one move that stops that. Push the elbows and wrap it around, and now your hand. That's not how that works. There's just so much more in play with that. So like,
it's a good way to look at it.
I'm finally understanding. Yeah, man, I'm finally understanding that this is a move here, but this is also a different move by curling my wrist here versus curling my wrist here, and like it's 3 separate moves, all under the same disguise. And now I'm starting to feel like the angle at which people are moving their appendages. It's like super weird. Without looking down, if I'm taking somebody's back, I can totally feel how high their knee is now just by like putting my knee on their hip bone. I'm like, all right, cool. And now I can shoot my leg in because I can feel when they move their leg just enough to create enough space for my size leg to fit directly into this hole. And I was like really enjoying this, man. Like I was enjoying it. I'm losing way more, which was awesome. And I got my black belt and I was just in shock. It was in shock because we had that, like I told you, man, I had that conversation. I was like, hey, you owe me 6 more years at brown belt so I can kind of figure it all out because I'm figuring this stuff out. But in this infinite like pool of knowledge, like I haven't even remotely learned anything yet.
Yeah.
So, and then Malachy, we had just finished some hard training, and Malachy always used to sit there and watch me, so I never thought anything of it. And we were eating dinner like 2 days before he belted me. He's like, "How long have you been training now?" I was like, "Dude, 10 years, man." I was like, "Man, I like blinked, and like the 10 years just went by in an instant."
Right.
And he was just like, "Oh, damn, that ain't bad at all, man." I was like, "Yeah, dude." Conversation never came up again. He gave like no like hints or anything. Go into the gym. He sees me training with the purple belt and stuff, and like I'm yoking them up. We're having fun. They're all my old friends. So like all they want to do is the last time they saw me, they were either blue belts or purple belts, or blue belts or white belts. So all they want to do is beat me up. They want to be like, "Hey, Allan, look what I've learned," and it was like so exciting. And I was like, "Tight, I want to show you what I learned." And we just started beating on each other. And he was just like, "What I saw right there, like watching you roll these past like 3 days, that's what the black belt is." And I was just like, "That's cool, man. I appreciate that." And then he takes his belt off.
No way.
Now, bro. So he opened his gym. He bought a brand new belt to open the gym because he was upholding this appearance for the people that don't really train. They don't want to like walk in and you see like this dingy old his original black belt, which was gnarly. It's just so beat up and so destroyed. So he had this beautiful brand new black belt when they met him. 5 years has gone by and this thing is just toast. And he was just talking about me, talking to the class. He's like really happy he came here, and he takes his belt off. And I'm like, "Whoa, homeboy! Like what's happening?" And he's just like, "It's time, man. It's time. We can't put this off 6 years. We can't." And he took my belt off and wrapped it around, and my mind went blank. You guys have trained with me, and you know, like, I just talk. Like when I'm going over like concepts and things like that, I'm just like, let me just go on a full 30-minute rant for no reason. That'll not help you at all, guys. And I just like blanked out, man. And it's like the day I set a goal 10 years ago to achieve something that by my 5-year mark, I had not really cared about anymore. It was still a goal, but usually goals are kind of like end game moments, right? Like right at the end of the goal, like as soon as I cross this portion, as soon as I get my bachelor's degree, I'm ready to go out in the world and go make $30,000 to pay off a $100,000 debt. Like, yeah. no, that's not the thing for the black belt. And like, that's what I thought it was. I thought at white belt, once you reach black belt, that's it, right? All black belts are created equal because as a white belt, you don't understand how deep it is. And then by the end of brown belt, which was 10 days ago, like, the well is infinitely deep and it's scarily deep. And I was putting it off because I was like, I don't want any part of that well right now, man. Like, let me sit around in comfort land. And that was one of the things, is that you get too comfortable. You get too comfortable at brown belt already too comfortable. Is that you need pressure. And I reached a goal, but my goal was get the black belt. I'm done. Jiu-jitsu mastered.
Yeah.
It's not. So my mindset, dude, it's so skewed from what it was 10 years ago. And like the achievement, it's not like walking across the stage when I got my stupid online bachelor's degree. It's like just a milestone now.
Right.
Now it's like, man, I just finished pre-calculus and I'm trying to get this postdoctorate degree in mathematics. Like, that's how I feel.
Right.
And now dude, it's like, now I feel like I don't know anything. Crazy. And it's crazy. And I swear later on in the game, you guys are going to wake up one day and be like, oh God, what? You're going to have a brown belt on your waist. And you're like, oh,
how the hell did I get here?
What happened? And then it becomes cramming season. And now like, you're like, all these things that I fuck up still, all these purple belt Jimmy just passed my guard last night on a basic, whatever guard pass. And
right.
It's going to eat you up inside, and you're going to work nonstop to fix that one hole, and boom, you get belted against your will. And
against your will. I feel like, so to tell you the truth, I feel like blue belt is the only time we would ever be tested for a belt. You know what I mean? Like our purple belts, George and Logan, they got tested for their purple, but I feel like maybe purple will get tested for purple, but after that, I feel every promotion I've ever seen for anything above blue or purple has been, you've grinded, you're doing good, like you're showing the skills and the personality and the traits of what a higher belt is. Here goes that higher belt.
Dude, just remember, blue belt is a sign that you have accepted jiu-jitsu. And then purple belt is the sign that jiu-jitsu has accepted you back.
It's a good way to look at it.
Man, purple belts quit because of life. That's about it. Like, blue belts quit because they're blue belts, and that's what you guys do. Like, milestone complete, I'm out. But, like, once you hit purple, you're essentially ready for black. You just need the mat time. You don't make these insane mistakes. I have tons of trouble with purple belts all the time because they don't make these like huge gaping mistakes, right? You guys leave me 4 inches when if you only left me 3, you would have been able to hold off the onslaught. It's like on that level. So, yeah, dude, it's just the game changes so much the longer that you're in. And I'm only doing it for 10 years, which is like juvenile in this sport. You've got these dudes, and then if you count mat time as well, where like I'm training 5 hours a week, there are dudes that are training 8 hours a day.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Think about that. There, like the amount of stuff going through their minds, like as they come up through the game, almost at the same pace as us, with 10, 15 times more hours spent on the mat, and even they kind of feel not ready.
Yeah.
So yeah, crazy. It's just crazy. To answer your question in one word, it was crazy.
Yeah. To kind of like touch on we were talking about it kind of two different things, touching on how black belts or blue belts or whatever, sometimes they don't feel like they're ready. And then going back to like John Dana here and stuff like that in that team, like you'll see some of these guys coming out of camps like that or gyms like that, and you're like, Jesus, man, this dude is like a brown belt, and you're like, he's a blue belt. Like, are you joking? Like, Nicky Rod is a prime example. I was like, this dude's got to be like a good like purple brown belt. You know what I mean? Like, he's not perfect. He still makes a lot of mistakes. You could tell he uses a lot of strength. But then to find out he was a blue belt during ADCC, you're like, holy crap. What? I am not a blue belt.
I have to think of it as real life versus people that do it for a living.
That's true. That's true.
That's how I have to think of it. Like, that's them full time, man. Like dietitians, working out nonstop, making sure they get the right amount of sleep, vice when you got to go work a, 10, 12-hour job. It's just the way it is.
Dude, life is pretty unfair. Life is pretty unfair. Like, I wish I could, like, turn back the hands of time. But, like, when we were, 15 years old, this wasn't even, like, the martial art itself wasn't even really talked about in the United States. Like, you always hear those stories about, like, oh, wow, I met a purple belt back in 1994. That dude was like a god. And, like, nowadays, like, I go in the average gym, and there's, like, a full-blown line standing there full of purple belts. Yeah. So, one of the big things for me was trying to separate myself from the professionals and, like, understanding that we all had opportunity to do this, but I took my opportunity and turned it into, like, let me make sure my family isn't fucking homeless versus I'm 19 years old, I live in a van / sleep on the mats, and I clean the mats, and professor lets me sleep here and train here 3 times a day and all that stuff. That's cool, man. If I was 19 years old and that opportunity arose, I would have taken it, but that's it. That is not where this sport fell into my life. It fell into my life when I was already, like, into a career and already about to get married and things like that. So I wanted so badly to think that a blue belt meant every white belt bows to you, and a purple belt meant every blue belt in the world is going to bow to you. And like, I thought those were the steps. And when you start getting beat up by a lower belt, oh, plot twist, he's a D1 wrestler. Plot twist, he has a
yeah, right.
He's a 4th degree judo black belt. Plot twist, like, he's 22 and all he does all day is work out. Like, those plot twists really got me, and it shook me a little bit, man. And then, like, as soon as I got over that, and as soon as, like, I started realizing that these dudes put more time in a year than I put in like 10. Yeah. And you're like, you know what? We're good to go. We're good to go.
For sure.
Because I hate, like, Instagram, like, fucking little quotes and stuff, but it's just like, I read one where it's just like, you're not comparing yourself to other people. You're just doing it. Just compare yourself to you, and you're straight, man. You're straight.
Yeah.
And it's like, if you can take an honest assessment of yourself and look back. So how long you guys been training? Like 2-3 years now?
May will be 3 years.
I was 39. And the guy was like, hey, man, you ever heard of jiu-jitsu? You want to try out a class? At 39. I wish I'd have thought about that a little more, but I was like, oh, sure, I'll try it out. And if I'm 40, it's been 3 years, right?
Yeah,
almost
3
years.
in May. 3 years.
I'm going to have to knock off 6 months due to COVID, though. So we're going to go with 2.5.
If you can give yourself an honest assessment and be like, if 42-year-old me met 39-year-old me, I would smash him.
Yeah.
If you can
for
agree
sure.
with that statement, it's all good, man.
Yeah.
34-year-old me would make 24-year-old me just quit everything.
I always
That's true.
make that joke. I'm like, if I could just meet 19-year-old Travis in the street, I would beat the shit out of him. Like, you are such a douchebag, bro. And now that I have jiu-jitsu, 100% even more.
Yeah, man. In order to become old and wise, you got to be young and dumb, right?
Yeah, yeah. Very true. Very, very true. So,
wish. Don't I wish?
All right. So, what would you say would be your biggest tip I really want to say tip.
I would say like or you can talk white belt level.
Yeah.
I would say like somebody. I don't know if you can remember this far back, Allan, but when you're struggling as that white belt and you're like 6 to 8 months in, maybe a year, what would you tell them to just keep grinding, to keep going? Like,
there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Find three things that you enjoy about jiu-jitsu and grind them, even if it makes no sense. Like as crazy as it is, the pendulum sweep was the first sweep that I've ever been able to hit as a white belt. And that was my proof that jiu-jitsu worked. It was like my official proof. Everything else was based off of I'm gonna go to Gold's Gym and I'm gonna add 15 pounds to my bench and I'm coming back in here and everybody's catching these hands. And I just got choked out. So I went on YouTube and I was just like, sweeps, how to do sweeps, because this is chess. And if they do this, 100% guarantee you're getting swept with this. And I found the pendulum sweep by some random dude. And I tried it on a white belt and it worked. And I tried it on the next white belt and it worked. And I kept doing it to all the white belts in the room as a white belt. And I fell in love with it. To the point where I literally did it 3 days ago on a brown belt. So like, I found something that I loved and I grinded it. Even if like it didn't make sense in like the progression, like I was still shitty at side escapes. If you took my back, it's 100% lock-in guarantee I'm getting choked out. All those things that I neglected. I ended up picking up like 3 things that I loved. And it was like the pendulum sweep, the basic butterfly sweep, which I still do to this absolute day. And then, the armbar. And because like triangles don't really work with my short little sausage legs. So I had to figure it out. So I was like, well, that's not like, this is hard to do if anybody's got any like real like girth on them. So I just started armbarring everybody. I say armbarring everybody, like the new white belts that didn't know how to not get armbarred. But as time went on, I just kept grinding out the same thing. So if you're a brand new white belt or like less than a year at a white belt, find 3 things that you just absolutely think that make jiu-jitsu for you and just grind those out as hard as possible. Because like I said, man, I made my stamp at X Guard and I spider webbed out from there instead of trying to start at the traditional, like, let me just like shrimp down the mat for like 8 months. And that's tight. Like, you can kind of learn hip movement without doing it for 8 months straight. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's not that mind-blowingly hard. But a lot of focus gets put on there, and it's not fun. If it's not fun, you're not going to want to do it.
Well, that's a good point of view. Yeah. I don't think anyone has said find 3 things. Usually people are like, be patient or enjoy the grind or something like that. But I think that's a good different idea behind it, right? Because a lot of times people will want to see so many different techniques or so many different things, and it's like, look, chill.
Just calm down.
Just wait. Do these 2 or 3 things, get really good at them, put them away in the toolbox, you can do them, and then add to it. You know what I mean? So
that's what they talk about, like the blue belt world champions, man. Like, these dudes are black belts at like 3 moves. And if you get them kind of out of their water right there, they become blue belts.
Yeah.
And that's all you have to do is you just, like the patient thing, it's hard to be patient because it's 2020 and we kind of want instant gratification.
Definitely.
And enjoy the grind. It's kind of hard to enjoy somebody just beating me up all day.
Yeah.
Like, it's a different mindset. And it's like, you don't really enjoy the grind until you start giving it back. Because let's be honest, right? During your nail days, when you're just the pure nail and never the hammer, those were hard days. I think those days make me respect people more. When you're able to go in there and lose every single position and lose every single 5-minute round that goes on without ever having any type of dominance over somebody. Yeah. I have a lot more respect for that brand new female that comes in there and just gets smashed up for 10 rounds, because you know us, we used to do like 10 rounds in Japan and just lose all 10 rounds, and then you see her tomorrow. You're like,
yes.
Oh.
Yeah, right.
Crazy, because there was nothing enjoyable about that at all. And it's like, it becomes easily enjoyable, especially around like when you're like almost blue, right? When you're on the cusp of fame, when you know blue belts in your future, and you notice that all the current blue belts are like avoiding rolls with you, don't lock eyes with you across the room because they know you're about to put it on them. Those days are fun, and those are the days that become addicting, is when you're the hammer. So telling them to enjoy the grind, that's hard. It's hard to enjoy the grind when you're the pure nail.
Yeah.
So I know I hated it. I.e. quitting Jitsu.
Yeah, thinking more. Oh, here, I don't think we've asked this question from someone in a long time, but it was on our little welcome to Elbows Tight. If you could bring anyone back from the dead, who would it be, and what would you want to talk about?
Bro, somebody gets scandalous with you. You need to lose your viewership.
It's okay.
Let me preface this with a mini story about. So this is actually a question that I pose to people, but I say, hey, if you could bring back 4 people and have dinner with them from any point in time in history, fictional or not, who would it be? So like, I have a slew of people in the back of my mind that I would love to bring back. So this is a super easy question. But to answer your question,
I want to know why you look around the room before you answer.
Yeah, no, they all sit there. They're like, I'm about to tell them about you guys.
Yeah, dog. In my hotel room right now. Like, bro, I gotta make sure nobody's hiding in these curtains right now. But, dude, I would love to bring Jesus to dinner. Like, so I'm not religious at all. I think people that like religion are awesome. And I'm like, good for you that you found something that you love as much as I love jiu-jitsu and I love my family, and you love Jesus, and it makes you a better person in life. And I will never, ever hate on you for that. And I think that's awesome. However, I would love to bring him to dinner and slide him a Bible. Be like, hey, dog, that's what they've been saying about you for the last 2,000 years. And just have him thumb through it and just be like, yup, did that. Water, wine, boop, and just like does it right there on the table for me. He's like, say no more. You get out to the pool, starts walking on top of the pool, like marks. And like, I would love to sit down and talk to him and be like, look, this is what your presence on the world has become since you died. Like, undo a scroll of wars. Like, check that out.
Yeah, right. Yeah, no, absolutely.
Right. And I just want him to be like, what is wrong with y'all? Like, I said love everybody. What are you doing? Like, man, so like, I would love to have Jesus. Do we have time to talk about a random story?
Yeah.
Yeah, by all means.
All right, so dude. So 2013, I was on a 9-month deployment to the Med, and during that deployment, we pulled into Haifa, Israel, and we had like a few days off into Israel. So I was like, you know what? I've been trying to get closer to religion. I think there's something there. I think whatever's causing people to be super cool, and they say it's because of Jesus, I want to learn more about this stuff. So I went on a pilgrimage through all of Jerusalem. Like, went to Nazareth, saw like Jesus' bedroom that he slept in. I went to his tomb. I went to the Church of the Holy Sepulchre, where they built a church around where the cross was that he was crucified on. They actually have like the area encased. Like, hey, this is where his cross was. This is the anointing stone where they pulled his body off of the cross and they laid it down. Like, all this stuff. I went to the Jordan River and got baptized. And like trying to like absorb all this stuff. So yeah, man. I ended up, I didn't end up too much different, to be honest. Like, I still kind of mellowed out at the exact middle of where I'm at now. I think if you love it, I think that's awesome. And I think if you're not digging it, that's cool too. Just don't shit on people who love it.
Right.
Yeah, you don't have to like it, but you don't have to shit on people.
Right.
Agreed.
Vice versa. Like, so.
Very true. Well, I think we've been going for over 2 hours now. Allan, are you good?
Yeah, dude. Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah. Thanks so much for coming on, and enjoyed talking to you, man. That was a
lot of fun.
That time flew, bro. It was like nonstop.
That's crazy, man. Thank you guys so much. It was good to talk to you guys again, man. I missed you guys.
Yeah, I miss you too, man.
Didn't have a lot of time, but in Japan because of my deployment schedule. But man, I had such a good time training with you guys, and I'm glad that you guys are doing well.
Thanks, man. Thanks. I appreciate that. It's always good to see when you got your black belt, bro. I was like,
yeah. We were like, look at this.
I was like, Allan got his black belt. Allan got his black belt.
Man, thank you guys so much.
Yeah. So, hey, if anyone wants to follow your journey through life or anything like that, you want to throw your social media out there. I know some people are kind of private about it.
If you guys are bored like that, I'm not very cool, but I'm on Instagram at Hern Smash.
Oh, I like
Big
it.
old, yeah. I don't know why. I don't know why I did that.
Yeah,
but
so,
I did it.
So that's his Instagram. If you guys want to follow us on Instagram, we're on at Elbows Tight Pod, at Travis ETP, at JT Crash 79, something like that.
I don't know how you know that. I don't even know it.
Remember, follow us on YouTube, like, subscribe, do all that kind of stuff. We got a YouTube page now. Also, our website is in the works right now. So on our website, we'll have merch. We'll have a link to our YouTube page, all of our podcasts, stuff like that. So hopefully in the future, we could travel more to other gyms and do an instructional video with whoever our interviewee is and whatnot. So we have a bunch of stuff in the work in the background right now. And as you can tell, we have video stuff now. We're going to be live streaming it to YouTube here soon also. So all these interviews will be live on YouTube if you guys want to watch that. So keep an eye out for that. But other than that, thank you guys so much for joining us. Thanks for watching. Thank you, Allan, once again for coming on. And remember, no oil checks here.
I'm not saying it.
Thanks, guys.